So over the past 5 to 10 years, Brazil has been very much synonymous with high growth consumer goods markets. And we know the story is very much the same when we look at homewares. Between 2006 and 2011, we saw CAGR, so annual growth rates, of around 8%. This is really high, and it's about double what we saw at the global level. And so when we examine this growth and try and look at the reasons and the causes behind it, we encounter this recurring narrative about rising incomes, expanding purchasing power, strong consumer confidence. And this is a growth narrative that's very much common to most consumer goods sectors at the moment in Brazil. But what's really interesting and quite unique about the homewares market and home and garden markets as a whole is its really strong connection to the property markets. So we know that there is a strong correlation from our research between really highly active and dynamic property markets and dynamic homewares markets. We know that consumers, when they move house, tend to buy homewares. Now, this isn't just consumers buying homewares for the first time as they move into homes or apartments for the first time. It's also seen as an opportunity to upgrade or replace existing items such as cookware, kitchenware, dining items. So we know that in property markets that have been quite sluggish over the past 3 to 4 years, such as in Western Europe or North America, this has very much contributed to low and oftentimes negative growth rates in homewares. But we know that in Brazil, this is not the case at all. So in Brazil, we have a property market that we know very much escaped the storm that damaged a lot of the property markets in developed regions. And the market in Brazil continues to do very, very well. We know on the one hand, this is due to really high construction rates. So we're seeing really high rates of new dwelling construction. In 2011 alone, we saw about 1.2 million new dwellings added to the existing housing stock. And between 2006 and 2011, this figure is around 9 million, so a really high rate of new dwelling construction, especially when we compare it to developed countries and to other developing countries. And second, we have really, really high growth in gross mortgage lending. So we're seeing really large increases in the amount being lent to consumers, how many consumers are being dealt mortgage lending. And part of this is due to a big effort on the part of the government. So we're seeing programs like a major one called Minha Casa, Minha Vida, which aims at improving home ownership, cutting down on Brazil's very large housing deficit, and increasing construction rates. So we're seeing this continued growth in the property market coming from these dynamics. Now, moving forward, we know that Brazil's housing deficit still remains very, very large. Estimates are anywhere between 6 million and 20 million at the moment. So this is likely to continue growing. Now, whether these really high rates of new dwelling growth and mortgage lending are sustainable over the long term remains to be seen. But we can rest assured for the medium term that this growth is likely to continue. And so as a result, we're expecting to see homewares growth continue. And over the forecast period, so between 2011 and 2016, we're expecting quite stable, quite strong homewares growth of around 3% in constant terms.